This is Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by the WBO Junior Lightweight Champion of the World, Jamel Herring. Jamel, how are you?
I feel good. I'm doing good. How you doing today, Danny?
I'm very good, thank you. We're not far away now, October the 23rd. Big fight against Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, you're the defending champion, but in terms of the attention the fight's got, is this one of the bigger ones of your career?
Of course. Definitely one of the bigger ones of my career. But as a champion, you always look forward to bigger and better things at each and every fight.
Do you think if a fight of this magnitude hadn't been available as it is now, you'd have moved up perhaps in weight by now?
Oh yeah, perhaps. Definitely would have thought about moving up if these fights weren't available. But there's still a lot to accomplish in the super featherweight division. So I'm just taking it one fight at a time right now.
Last time we spoke, you weren't quite at the stage where you guys had signed on the dotted line yet. There were a few issues going back and forth. What was it that finally got the fight over the line?
I think it was until they made the whole change from the fight going from London to Dubai, because we were waiting on Frank Warren's end to send over the contracts and the agreements, but we never got anything until the postponement came about the location.
What, for the Stevenson fight, you mean?
Oh, for the Stevenson fight, with this fight,
Yeah.
everything was basically set right after, pretty much right after the fight. I had to basically I basically agreed with the WBO to face my mandatory. I showed up at his last fight, and once he got his guy out the way, only thing that we had to do was basically agree to terms and write out the contracts from there.
How much of a factor do you feel your experience will be in this fight? Because while Shakur was a great amateur, he hasn't fought anything like the level of competition you have as a pro.
I think it'll play a tremendous part, but I can't rely solely on that. I have to be smart as well, and continue following the instructions from my team and corner, and just take it honestly one round at a time and make the proper adjustments as we go along.
He's also never fought a southpaw with your dimensions before. That could be pretty key because he's someone who likes to box at range, but that's not going to be possible really against you.
You never know. You never know. Like I said, hopefully it was up to me. I would hope for it to look like the last fight, but like we take what we're given at times, and we did take consideration into all those dynamics you pointed out in terms of height, range, stance, and everything like that nature. But at the end of the day, my team has prepared me to expect the best Shakur Stevenson that we haven't seen so far.
And what is that best Shakur Stevenson? What do you make of him? What do you highlight as kind of his key strengths?
He's smart. He's smart, and if you allow him to take the lead, he'll fight you at his pace. Which is the play is safe and just pick you apart one round at a time. He's not much of a risk taker as we all seen. But if you let him, he'll just do just enough just to win the rounds.
So does that put more pressure on you to be, and obviously you're the defending champion, so it shouldn't, but does it put more pressure on you to be the one making the fight?
No. It just I actually look forward to, making the fight, because it'll make for an exciting fight. He's a really good fighter. I'm a good fighter in my own right, and I just want to continue putting on the best performances of my career. So I look forward to it, but I mean, like you pointed out, I just may have to be the one to take the lead, but I don't have any issue with that.
Tell us a bit about training camp. I mean, it's been very successful for you the last few years. Has anything changed this time around? Have you done anything differently?
No, not really, not really. I mean, obviously we always prepare for every fighter in a different manner, but in terms of how we go into camp week by week, we pretty much done what we normally do. All we did was create a different formula and game plan, obviously for our opponent. But for the most part, I think the training camp has went pretty well because there hasn't been any postponements. The last fight we had, like I mentioned before, with the Pregnant fight, we had to do the postponement because of the venue location. Then Frampton had a hand injury, so we had to wait. We had to change, push back then. And then before then with the Okendo fight, I had got sick with COVID, so that then I came back with another test, and that came back positive, and then pushed back again. So at least this time around, we've actually had a steady, smooth course and going into this fight.
Have you worked much with Bud this time around? Because I'm guessing for Porter, you're not really much of a mimic.
No. Bud actually hasn't. He's actually stepped to the side because he has a lot of love and respect for not only myself but Shakur as well. So he's basically stayed neutral. But I actually have sparred with my good friend Amir Khan a few times. Amir even switches southpaw when he wants to, and gives me a look from the speed dynamic. And so I have to give a lot of thanks and respect to Amir Khan for helping out when he came out to the States to help to train.
How did that come together? How did you guys hook up?
He's actually now he's part of the team. He's actually going to be working alongside my trainers, Brian McIntyre, Red Spikes, Isaiah Diegas, Jamie Belt, and so on. So he's basically part of the team. And he came out here. He enjoyed the atmosphere. He enjoyed the training, and he's actually looking forward to coming back to working with us again.
Wow, that's amazing. So part of the team for every fighter in the gym, or just for you, or what's the deal?
I think he's from here on out for his career. He's going to be part of the team. He's part of the B&B boxing team. And, like I said, I wish him the best. And, because I've actually known Amir Khan since 2012 when we used his gym before the Olympics had started in London. He actually opened up his gym to Team USA, and me and Amir have been, very close since then.
And will he be in the corner on fight night?
No, I think he's handling business back in Dubai right now, so he'll be home. But I know he'll be watching and supporting from there.
How much of a benefit was that, as you say, from the speed angle to have someone like him? Because, he's a great fighter, but the thing that distinguishes him is that speed.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was great. He actually got a lot of great work. He said himself that he was actually impressed from the way I handled things. And, it was just fun, just not only just to work with him in the ring, but to pick his brain as well, because, Amir Khan he has a lot of experience, and he has been in a lot of big fights, especially on the world championship level. So it was fun having him around, and that's why I look forward to seeing him again.
That's great stuff. That's just, good. Breaking news. We like breaking news on Seconds Out. Atlanta is where the fights ended up. Not necessarily a boxing hotbed in recent times, but seems to be becoming more and more prominent in the sport.
Right.
Were you pretty happy that it ended up there?
To be honest with you, I was hoping that it would end up in New York, where I'm from, especially at the Garden. But I'm not upset about it being in Atlanta, because as a recent memory, it's been growing, especially when you look at the Tank Davis fights. The Tank Davis fights going on out there in that manner. But I'm just happy overall that I'm in another big fight. And like you see the last fight, it didn't matter to me. It could be back in Dubai, and I'll be happy with that. Or and I still would love to fight in London again, because I had a great time during the Olympics back then. But for me, as long as you have a ring set up, I don't really matter. It doesn't really matter where the fight's at.
And do you don't want to look past your opponent, but do you look slightly around him and think about the future and which weight that'll be at, who else is on your hit list?
You always think about the future times, but for me, you know me, Danny. Now, I didn't look past Frampton. I definitely not look past Shakur. Because this just like Frampton, like the Frampton fight, that was a big fight. This fight is a big fight. So why look past the big fights that you actually look forward to getting to? So, but of course, I do look at just the landscape around the division, and my main goal is always to become, the lineal world champion of the division. And I feel like with victory here, the next guy on the list will have to be obviously Oscar Valdez, and to become not only a two-time world champion, but the lineal champion in the division as well. So of course, that comes to mind at times, but I'm solely focused on Shakur Stevenson right now.
And we'll find out for sure next week. But on paper, who's the greater challenge? Because Frampton had the bigger pedigree, but was at a later stage of his career. Stevenson's all potential, but which one, as you weigh up, is the bigger challenge?
That is a good question. I mean, I always give a lot of huge respect to Carl Frampton, because remember, this is a guy that was at one point fighter of the year, two-divisional world champion, a unified world champion. He was shooting. He was shooting to go for three three-divisional world champion. But Shakur Stevenson is very gifted. They say, yes, he doesn't have a lot of potential. That he may have a lot of untapped potential, as we say at times. So it's really hard to go because, like I said, he is a younger guy, but it's hard to determine who was better on paper in terms of Frampton or Shakur.
Where do you get your hunger from? Because someone like Stevenson, it's easy to say he's not been to the mountaintop, not at your weight anyway. He's obviously had a short reign at feather. Where do you still get that hunger year after year and performance after performance?
It's just the goals that I set for myself. That's where I get the hunger from. I'm never satisfied, and you see it, Danny, at times also. Like I haven't fully got my just due and respect even now. I got a lot of credit, of course, for the my last performance, but there's still people out there that don't give me the full respect that others that most may believe that I deserve at times. So as long as I have people out there that may doubt me or second guess me, that keeps me motivated and determined. Like I don't get upset about it because everybody goes through adversity or have people that may doubt on my time. But for me, instead of getting angry, it just motivates me, and I have a great team that continues to push me. And like I said, my goal is to become lineal world champion.
Now, you've got a lot of fans here in the UK. Is one of the attractive points of a Stevenson fight is that your profile will raise quite a lot in your home in the US?
Yes. I mean, and I'm grateful for my fans, not only in the UK, but Ireland as well, but especially after the past fight with Frampton. So, that keeps me humble because at one point in time, no one was really looking this or cared about if I got in the ring or not again. But, over recent memory, my profile has not only grown in the US, but across the pond as well. So that's why I stay, true to myself and just humble because I know where I came from. I know how hard it was for me to get to where I'm at. And I never forget the people that, that stood alongside me throughout the journey. So that's just why I'm always here with a big smile and just determined to go out there and prove that I am a true champion.
Should you beat Stevenson next week, do you think people might finally start talking about you in the pound for pound top 10?
Oh yeah, of course. I believe so because they have they have a lot of people have a big high pedestal for him alone as it is. So a victory and a good victory over him would definitely put me in there hopefully with my good friends like Josh Taylor and Errol Spence and Terence Crawford and so on. So I like I say, a win over him, I wouldn't even mind if I just cracked the top 10, just number 10 spot. But that'll be a huge honor for me, especially from where I came from when I had suffered my first defeat into where I'm at now. So definitely, I think people will not only also speak about cracking the pound for pound list, but also maybe potentially be a candidate for fighter of the year for having a great year as well.
Very good point. And just on a connected subject, what do you make of heavyweights being present in pound for pound lists?
I don't have an issue with it. I mean, especially when it's not their fault that there's not a weight class above that they can go to. I mean, as long as they're putting on great performances, such as we've seen recently with the Gypsy King, I don't mind. I don't mind seeing it at all. Tyson Fury has, especially when you look at Tyson Fury, just what he has done outside of the ring to defy the odds and still come back and become the lineal heavyweight champion again. That's a tall order. That's not an easy task. That's not an easy task at all when you look at history. So I have no issue with it.
You and Stevensons are a huge fight in the US, also available over here on Sky Sports, which we're incredibly grateful for. What can fans expect? What type of fight can they expect on October the 23rd?
I think it's going to be a dogfight at times. I think it's going to be obviously a chess match, but I think it's going to be times where it could be a dogfight as well because I know he has a lot to prove, especially after his last performance. I think he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, but definitely you can expect a good fight. At least I'm going to try to make it a good fight on my end.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck. Really looking forward to it over here. And as always, appreciate your time. And let's catch up again after the fight.
Thank you, Danny. It's always good talking to you.
And you take care, Jamel. Speak soon.